Turn the mic on. Truth in the building. No filters. No politics. No apologies. Dr. Ken, let's go. We don't quit till the whole thing shake. Truth hit hard, make the whole world wait. Real talk loud when the system fade. Stand tall, even when the whole ground break. No fear, no foe, no retreat. Pressure make diamonds when the fire meet heat. All gas, no brakes. When the truth gon' speak, Dr. Ken in the booth.
Truth don't sleep.
Came from the bottom when survival was a law. Learn real quick what respect really costs. Everybody got opinions from afar, but they ain't never had to carry those scars. Built from pressure, discipline, pain. Some lose focus, some lose aim. Some sell souls just to chase that fame. I build my brick by brick, no shame. See the world get weak when it need a moment. Too many followers pretending they friends. Too many loudmouths scared to defend any real conviction when the pressure set in. But I stand on business, stand on code, stand on truth when the lies explode. Some fold up when the road gets cold. Some become legends when the story gets told. We don't quit till the whole thing shake. Truth hit hard, make the whole world wait. Real talk loud when the system fades. Stand tall, even when the whole ground breaks. No fear, no foe, no retreat. Pressure make diamonds when the fire meet heat. All gas, no brakes. When the truth gon' speak, Dr. Ken is on.
Truth don't sleep.
Frank. Candid.
Straight to the point.
If nobody else gon' say it, I will. Yeah. Mic check, truth coming, live again. Built for the storm, I don't hide from wind. Everybody tough when the lights are bright. Different story when it's dark outside at 10. I done seen pride make kings collapse. Seen weak minds get trapped in traps. Seen good people never fight back. Seen fake leaders disappear too fast. So I speak for the workers, speak for the tired, speak for the people still trying to climb higher. Speak for the ones still building through fire, trying to lead this world better than prior. And if the truth hurt, let it hurt a little. Growth don't happen staying safe in the middle. Either build your life or become a riddle. Either move the crowd or get played like fiddle. We don't quit till the whole thing shake. Truth hit hard, make the whole world wait. Real talk loud when the system fades. Stand tall, even when the whole ground break. No fear, no foe, no retreat. Pressure make diamonds when the fire meet heat. All gas, no brakes. When the truth gon' speak, Dr. Ken in the booth.
Truth don't sleep.
Dr. Ken's truth. Frank, Dr. Ken's truth. Dr. Ken's truth. Dr. Ken's truth. Frank, candid.
Straight to the point, to the point.
Good evening and welcome to Dr. Ken's Truth on another podcast on this great day. Want to say thanks for being here. Took yesterday off, had a meeting I had to be at, and now here I'm back. By the way, if you want to support this particular show, you can go to drkenswag.printify.me and make sure you update stuff. I've been under the weather. It's been warm, it's been hot. Weird thing happened to me last night. I turned on I have a portable air conditioner, and I put it in my bedroom and turned it on and blew all the lights out. So, I got to sleep with a fan, but I'm okay. Like, heat doesn't really bother me. It's pretty nice outside. It's overcast. Now, this might get cut a little short because I'm sitting outside taking in some rays. It's an overcast day, but I have sunscreen on so Babar doesn't get all upset and mad at me and do all those sorts of things. So it's been an interesting week. A lot of stuff has happened in the city. But before I go through all that stuff, let me go hit the YouTube chat. Let me see it. What's up, Sincere? Well, Kwanda was here first, so I got to say welcome to Study Hall and welcome to everybody there, everybody doing it. All my chicken heads that are in here. Sincere Ronnie Ray Real, what's going on? Are you driving today? Where you driving at? Where you at today? I wonder, you doing the truck thing? Because I know you're an over-the-road truck driver, and I don't really do that. Did I tell y'all my weight loss thing? I'm outside, so bugs will be going around, so don't be freaking out if I start waving and doing all kind of crazy hand signs. It's not a hand sign. It's actually bugs here. So I think a year ago? How long ago? Quanda should remember. Some of y'all should remember when I said I was losing weight because I had to. Was it about a year ago? I think it was around a year ago. I was at 252. Weighed myself the other day. I'm at 11.6. So I'm 1.6 pounds away from my goal. Technically, I'm past my goal because my goal was 215, and I'm down to 211. So technically, I surpassed my goal, but now I want to get to 210, 1.6 pounds. So I'm little by little, bit by bit, trying to sit up and do things right and all that stuff. Who else up here? Todd, hey, what's going on? How you feel? Let me see who else is up in here. I thought I saw, Kathleen. Hey, what's up? SE, how's it going? Hope everything is well. DJ Brother Z, what's up? Off at 4 today, huh? So you listening in. Interesting. Speaking of interesting, I got a pretty interesting topic today. And so it's tough for me to talk about because I actually did it. And I see not repercussions, but that sounds negative. I saw the outcome. And so Black families tend to wrestle with this issue, but we don't really talk about it openly because it just goes unsaid. And so there's an article on theroot.com today that looks at the cost to raise Black children in a predominantly white space. Or you live in a suburb, or you live in a predominantly white neighborhood. And for a lot of parents, the decision isn't about rejecting a Black community. And that's what a lot of people think. I've had students tell me, Black students, that if you move out of the city, you're a traitor. It's about pursuing what a parent believes to be a better school or a safer neighborhood, stronger opportunities, expanded career pathway for your kids. Yet those choices come with trade-offs. And we're going to talk about some of those trade-offs today. And I hope to hear from you about some of those trade-offs. Hey, what's up, Curly Q? Anyway, you can't measure that by a test score. You can't measure that by how much your property is worth. Children spend most of their lives in an environment where a few people look like them start to question where they belong because they're not really accepted they're tolerated, but they're not really accepted by the culture they're in their neighborhood or school or something. And they may feel pressure to code switch or minimize parts of their identity like hair in relation to women or men today that may wear their hair a little nappier or constantly explain their culture because you represent everybody, and I've been in those situations where I was the only Black person or the only Black person in class, and somebody asks you, well, what do you think? As if you carry the entire weight of the race and all of slavery on your shoulders. Now, parents have to carry the responsibility of making sure that their kids connect to Black history, Black traditions, Black church, Black organizations, Black mentors, Black family. So success doesn't come at the expense of who they are. Now, this is from the Chronicle of Mentoring. And so what do you do? This conversation should challenge everybody. What do you do when where you live isn't doing great? Where you have questions about Milwaukee Public Schools and they're not giving you the quality that you need, that your child isn't learning what they should learn. Now remember, public schools were created so that you can control kids and make them do what you want to do. But the problem today is that public schools will only allow your kid to do what they want them to do. It's a problem. So if Black families believe they have to leave Black spaces to find quality education, to find safety for their kids, especially a young boy growing up today and young girl, or an opportunity, what does that say about the investment we made in our own community? What does that say about the investments that we use in Milwaukee? And if our kids spend more time learning somebody else's history than their own, what is the responsibility of a parent to intentionally teach them who they are? That's why we celebrate Juneteenth. That's why we celebrate slavery. That's why we celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation. That's why we celebrated 250 years of America. So this isn't an argument against integrated schools. I get it. It's not against diverse neighborhoods or having broad experience. But I think that's what college is for. Exposure to different people and ideas is incredibly advantageous. The real question is whether exposure requires cultural sacrifice. So here's my issue. Are we losing part of who we are, or are we giving it away? That's the question I have for you today. Do we put Black kids in predominantly white spaces because they're seeking opportunity, or are we trying to distance them from what we perceive to be the negative aspects of being Black? If that's true, why aren't we working just as diligently to strengthen the positive part of our community? What are we afraid of? You know what I think it is? It might sound cruel. Black culture. Okay, you know who is back? Black culture. What are we doing? So there's a great story about Black culture on TheRoot.com, part of my opening. Wait. This is for Sir Charles. Is that good enough? Okay. So one of the reasons why I'm coughing and all that stuff is not because of cigars, but because I had to sleep under a fan last night in order to not sweat, right? And so I'm catching a cold. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So what's the cost of raising a Black kid in a white space? This story is great because we believe putting our kids in a great school. Like somewhere in the back of our minds, we think a white school is better than a Black school, or a white neighborhood is better than a white neighborhood. In some instances, it might be true. It might be true as it relates to having your kid be safe or getting a better education. I don't know. But I know a lot of Black schools that are pretty good too. The problem is, what do you do when you're the only one in the room? There's an underside to these opportunities. The question many parents should be asking isn't what our children gain, but what are they losing? Did you grow up in a predominantly white area? Did you grow up in, like Sherwin Hughes talks about all the time, he grew up in Brown Deer. Was it predominantly white at the time? We're talking about raising kids in predominantly white spaces. We usually focus on academics and future opportunities. What we also need to discuss is what is constantly being the only one does to a kid and their identity? Do they start having to act the way the rest of the kids act? Do they start talking the way the other kids talk? Well, research shows that black children as young as 10 are viewed as older, less innocent than white kids. Now think about that. Think about that. At 10, you're a baby. Really. You really still are a baby. A lot of black kids learn they have to think about how they are perceived in the way their classmates who need sunblock 3,000 to go outside in the summer. They never do. They become experts at managing how to present themselves at age 10 to other people, and they don't even know why. Think about that. But I think the greater danger is something quieter, and you lose your culture. So what does that mean, to lose your culture? What does it mean to grow up in a predominantly white area? Like, for instance, Quanda moved from Milwaukee to Miami. So I'm going to ask Quanda, and hit me in the YouTube chat, who else moved out of Milwaukee that lived there? Do you live in a predominantly white neighborhood? Or do you live in a diverse neighborhood? Or do you live in a black neighborhood? Imagine being a stranger to your own people, because when you're around them, you can't connect culturally. I had a friend of mine who is from Chicago, very well-known person in Milwaukee, grew up in Illinois, not in Chicago. Everywhere that person went, it was white. Everybody they talked to, they were white. Everybody they dated was white. So then they started to lose who they were, and they figured out as an adult in their 20s, maybe 30s. Let me see. At the time, they're probably about 10 years younger than me or so. They came to me and asked, what do I need to do in order to reconnect or just connect? Because they admitted that their father took them to a suburb to get them away from all the nonsense. And the school they went to was predominantly white. And when you heard them talk, they talked like they were white. They picked up the vernacular, they picked up the way they move, to the point, and this is what scared the person, they became scared of black people. How does that happen? They became scared because everybody around them watched the same news they did. They watched the shootings, the stabbings, the robberies, the carjackings, because that's all they show about us. They never showed graduating from college. The history they learned in school wasn't accurate. No, let me say, it was accurate. It just wasn't complete. They didn't teach certain things about Black history. They didn't teach some of the things we've gone through in history. They, for lack of a better phrase, whitewashed it and made it look like everything was fine, and that, it gave the old adage, white is right. And so how do you do that? Well, you got to put your kids, this is just my suggestion, and these are my suggestions. Put your kids in Black organizations. Many of our legacy organizations, NAACP, Urban League, all that, fraternities, sororities, Prince Hall Masons, they all have youth components. Put your kid in it. Help them learn how to interact. Help them to be able to know good and bad Black people like they know good and bad white people. If they're in an all-white environment, they're able to see who's good and who's not, who's doing drugs, drinking too much, causing issues or not. They know that. So we need to do that. So my question, how do you do that? How exactly do you get your child to understand their culture without beating them over the head? And many times kids tend to reject exactly what you're trying to teach them, or they tell you it's inaccurate or it's not really accurate because you just don't understand, this is how life really is. When in fact, being older, you understand exactly how it is. So I need some suggestions. How do you let your kids know? How do you teach your kids what what their culture is? And how do you do that in a way where you don't alienate your child or have your child go back into a predominantly white environment and cause more trouble? Because they're already looking at them like they're older than they really are. They're looking at them like they're less intelligent. They're already looking at them like they're, if something goes missing, then you're probably the one that stole. You're number one on the list as the person that stole it. And when something goes wrong, you're going to get blamed for it. And, even though we know that that's not the case in most cases, because the majority of white people are like the majority of black people. 93%, these are my numbers that I make up. 93% are good, 4% have some least contact and, issues. And then you got about 3% that are just bad. Let me check the YouTube chat. Quanda wrote something, but then she deleted it. Oh, okay. Quanda said, I lived in all black with few Hispanics, now live in Cuban and Hispanic land. Yeah, because that's Miami. But doesn't the same thing apply? Does the same thing apply when you live in a area that's not your predominant race? I mean, doesn't the same thing count? And I'm just using white as the alternative, but you can use Hispanic, you can use Jewish, you can use any ethnicity other than your own to look at how we interact and how we do it. I can only imagine if you're biracial, what type of weight that puts on you, what type of things do you identify as? And so when other people identify you as black, even if you look white, there's not a lot you can do about it, because most people still believe, including black people, that if you have one drop of black blood, you're black. Now, for me, that's kind of ridiculous. For me, that's kind of ridiculous. Be who you are, be who you want. If you can let a man identify as a woman and it's okay for them to do that, then it's okay for somebody that's biracial to identify as black when they look white, or white when they look black, or be biracial and look white and say they're white, or be biracial and look black and say they're black. I'm just saying. At some point, we have to be, the T word I hate to use, tolerant of other people and their beliefs. Otherwise, we're going to continue this ongoing warring and this ongoing fighting and this ongoing negativeness instead of just accepting people as who they really are. What are your thoughts of it? Put it in the YouTube chat. And when we come back, I want to dive into this 9-year-old that got killed. But let me go back, because somebody just threw something in the YouTube chat. Quanda said, we have our sides of where we're at, and it's not all in the ghetto, but when they come here and get housing through the state without any issues and whatever they choose, then there you go. That's true. And so we have to decide whether or not we're going to be American. I prefer to be a Black American, or be open to letting anybody roll in and get stuff for free that we ourselves didn't get free. And that's where the whole reparations discussion comes in, where how can you move here from another country, say you're a refugee, and get all this stuff for free, get all this stuff paid for, housing, food, clothing, healthcare, all those things, and the people that live here and pay taxes and were born here don't get it. But that's another issue, and that's probably another show. All right, when we come back, I want to talk about the 9-year-old that got shot and killed in the city of Milwaukee. He's back. Anyway, thanks for listening to Dr. Ken's Truth. So let me hit the YouTube chat. Don't forget transportation. Yep. You come here and you get a job and you get a commercial license and you roll out and you don't even know how to read. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Ironically, one of the states that does that more than anywhere is Texas, which is a red state. I don't know if that has anything to do with it being a liberal or conservative state, but I think when it's easy in a state to get licensed and you're pro-business, those are the types of things that occur. So anyway, I want to talk about this story about this 9-year-old girl who was shot last week. Story from WISN.com. A 9-year-old who was shot in Milwaukee last week died. Shooting happened July 3rd near Richards and Burleigh in the Harambee neighborhood. According to police, 9-year-old was shot before 11:30 p.m., taken to a hospital in critical condition, and she died yesterday. Family identified the girl as Jade Reiser. Her great aunt says since the shooting, Jade was in the hospital without brain function on Tuesday. They made the difficult decision to take her off life support. The family is hosting a fundraiser this coming Saturday to help cover funeral expenses. It's happening at Burleigh and Buffalo Street at 1 o'clock this Saturday. Investigators are still working to determine what led up to the shooting. Unfortunately, there's nobody in custody, so if you have any information, call Milwaukee Police or Crime Stoppers. Now, why am I talking about this story? Well, I haven't heard anything. Maybe I'm lost, but I haven't heard anything from the city and from city leadership about this shooting. No complaining. The neighborhood isn't protesting. The neighborhood isn't, blowing up the media. Nothing. Zero. The mayor wrote a letter to J.D. Vance about election fraud and how there's none here. Why don't you write a letter about, crime, infrastructure, fixing the holes in the street that damage my car? But we don't do that. And so my question for you in the YouTube chat today is a question I've asked before, but now we have a little more time under the belt. L. Dawson, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's sad. But let me start a poll. And my question is it time for a new mayor in Milwaukee? That's what I want to know. Is it time? And I put it in the YouTube chat. There's a poll there. Is it time for a new mayor? There's no complaining about shootings. There's no complaining. We didn't even fight for the data center that wasn't a data center. It was a research center. And we complained about that. We let red-haired, pink-haired lunatics from suburbs and other towns come into the city to tell us what we couldn't do. and they complain about it's going to use too much water. Well, what about the ones that are solar powered? What about the ones that use gas? See, we never really think things through. We just hear what other people said, and because they're Democrat or Republican or we share the same whatever, we decide they're right without really investigating it for ourselves. Until there's a shooting. But then we don't complain about it. Until there's a death. We don't complain about it. Meanwhile, kids are dying at an alarming rate, and we adjust the measurement of statistics to make it look like crime is going down. We readjust and all that. Me personally, I don't think it's being reported. I don't know if crime is going down. But then again, with so many people moving out of the city and going to those predominantly white suburban communities, what's going to be left? So you're staying where you don't want to stay, and you're moving where you're not wanted. So just something to think about. So there's a question in the YouTube chat. Is it time for a new mayor? That's the real question. Is it time for a new Milwaukee mayor? Right now, with the votes we have in, 83% say yes and 17% say no. And so my question is, if you say no, are you saying no simply because the mayor is black? And I think if you vote your race every time, that in and of itself might be part of the problem. I'm just saying, throwing that out there. Hey, let me go look at the weather right quick and see what exactly is going on this afternoon. It's 83 degrees, feels like 87. It's a little warmer, sun's starting to come out. You know, I got some sunscreen on, so I'm good. And the weather just changed to 79 degrees, and it feels like 82. The low tonight is going to be 46 degrees. Sunset is about 8:32. Days getting shorter. Last week it was 8:35. Now it's 8:32. Getting shorter already because we're more than halfway through. Tonight it should drop to about 64 degrees. It shouldn't be too bad. There's a 12% chance of rain coming later. A little bit later overnight. There might be a little bit of rain. But it's mostly cloudy. Looks like everything is going just great. So I see the judge made out like a fat rat. I talked about it really quick last week. Hannah Duggan didn't get prison, which I thought was interesting. She didn't get prison. Story on WISN 12, former Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Duggan will not serve jail time for probation after a federal judge last week imposed a $5,000 fine. That was yesterday in her sentencing hearing. U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman, who used to be here in Milwaukee, said prison was not necessarily in Duggan's case, despite federal sentencing guidelines calling for incarceration. He said, for several reasons, prison is not necessary to satisfy the statutory purposes for sentencing. And he said Duggan did not appear to have correctional treatment needs and pointed to what he described as a lifetime of service to others, especially people who are vulnerable or in need. Talk about a kiss up. Anyway, this is a person who's done a lot of good for our community. And he says Supreme Court requires judges to consider each defendant as an individual and that the punishment should fit the offender and not merely the crime. Wow. Say that to the victim. Anyway, he acknowledged the guidelines call for prison, but noted they are advisory. And so basically he said you got a $5,000 fine. Now, here's the other kicker about that. She's still a convicted felon. So that will stop her from being able to do certain things or even have a weapon, if I'm not mistaken. But she was not, she said that I've been cast as a scofflaw and a hero as well. No, she said I've been cast as both a scofflaw and a hero. I am neither. I am a public servant who was trying to do my job. Well, you didn't. And you broke the law and you were convicted as you should have been. Had it been me, I would have been thrown under the jail. And for what? So now I've met Judge Duggan. I know her and I respect her. I do. Her work has been impeccable. The work that she's done up to that point has been good. And I'm glad she only got a fine. I'm okay with that. I think it's perfectly okay that she got a fine. Don't get mad at her. Don't get upset at her. She did make out like a fat cat, but hey. Todd said Len Edelman is a joke. No, he's not. You just disagree with him politically. But he took into consideration the person, which is what you're supposed to do. Now, if it was a black judge, would he have taken into consideration? I don't know. He may not have. He may have. Might have just gave him a $2,500 fine. I don't know. But we have to trust the system, and we have to trust what's going on. Hey, what's up, Jasmine, Jazz West? Y'all need some shorter names. But, you know, we have to really look at that. We have to look at the person. We have to look at the sentencing guidelines. They're just guidelines. They're advisory. The judge can do what they want to do. And as a U.S. district judge, I think it's a lifetime appointment. So there ain't a lot you can do about it anyway. So you may as well not get upset. You may as well not get mad. Don't get all beside yourself. I'm just saying. Let me check this YouTube. Who's all up in here? Let me see. Who's in the YouTube chat? Clonda's here. Sincere, Todd, Kathleen, Essie, Sir Chance, DJ Brother Z, Curly Q. Sir Chance said, nah, bro, it ain't the weather. It's with that doggone frog in your throat. It's probably them bougie cigars you be smoking, and y'all probably pull too hard on the one you puffed before you came on air? Question mark. Notice how people say things about you and then put a question mark behind it like they right. Nope. Sir Chan said, yeah, that fan almost got me last week. Had it on blasting point directly towards my upper body. Not smart, I found out. My feet either, for that matter. Woke up and boom, had 3 frogs in my throat, but shook it off via a workout and a blend of hot juices. Or just don't put the fan on your face. Anyway, let me see who else is up in here. I thought I saw SC up in here. L. Dawson is up in here. Yep, there she is, SC. Milwaukee needs to be under new management. Yeah, I do. Kathleen said prayers to the family, 9-year-old, a life just beginning. Yep. But, yeah, I think it's time. We have to get out of this mental jail that we complain about white people who vote for people just because they're white, but then we do it when a person's black and we still get nothing. We still don't get anything for it. And so I don't really understand that, but you know, nobody asked me. So, you know, nobody asked. I don't understand it at all, but it's just something I guess we have to deal with. You're listening to Dr. Ken's Truth. I want to say thank you for being here. And when we come back, in the words of Kathleen, top 5 before 5. Trouble's back. Dr. Ken's Truth. Remember, you can always support the show by going to Printify and helping a brother out. That's drkenswag.printify.me. Hey, you remember the story I did from Sister Harrison about Cujo Lewis, the last living slave in the United States? Zora Neale Hurston did the story and did a video and did all that stuff, the book, and we talked about it on Black Book Thursday. Well, guess what? I have an update.
Number 5.
So, Cujo, this is from blackenterprise.com. More than 165 years after the last known slave ship arrived in the U.S., one descendant of its survivors has fulfilled a dream her ancestors never had the chance to realize. Cassandra Lewis, a direct descendant of Clotilda survivor Consola Lewis, also known as Cujo, has become the first descendant of 110 Africans illegally transported aboard the infamous slave ship in 1860 to receive citizenship in one of my favorite countries, West African nation of Benin. She is now Beninois. Got it? Citizenship means a lot to me. That's what she said. I knew about Cujo from birth, but I never knew about Africa. I could remember seeing my daddy looking at books on Africans, and now I get to go there, learn about Africa, trace my roots, and learn about it. Her journey to citizenship began long before Benin passed this landmark 2024 law establishing a right of return for descendants of Africans taken during the transatlantic slave trade. As the youngest of 9 children, she grew up hearing firsthand accounts passed down by her father, Johnny Lewis, who spent the first 15 years of his life with his great-grandfather, Cujo Lewis. So that is pretty cool. I think that is that's pretty cool. And if you can trace yourself or know that you are a direct descendant of African slavery, you can go back and get a citizenship. They'll give you citizenship. I don't know if the U.S. recognizes dual citizenship with Benin, but if they do. And gotta say kudos regarding immigration. Kudos to a teacher's aide and her attorney.
Number 4.
So this from fox6now.com. It was an emotional homecoming here in Milwaukee. A beloved teacher's aide who self-deported to El Salvador last year is officially back at home. So Fox 6 was the only TV station present during her arrival, and over a year, colleagues and students and advocates never stopped chanting her name, an effort that finally paid off and brought Yesenia Ruano and her daughters home. Now, I don't know if we can call it home. I would say brought her back to the United States because her home is El Salvador. However, it was pretty emotional. And so last June, Fox 6 caught up with Ruano before she self-deported to El Salvador, along with her 2 U.S. citizen children. The departure followed a policy shift under the Trump administration that allowed ICE to proceed with deportation while waiting for her T visa. That's a specific program allowing trafficked victims to temporarily stay in the country. And so what she did, the law says if you're applying for a T visa, you can do so from the U.S. and receive a T visa. That's what immigration attorney Mark Christopher said. It's a process Christopher says was not allowed in Ruano's case, and the court says she needs to be here while that case is pending. So Christopher says it takes up to 4 years for a decision to be made. And so she made it back. Now, the law wasn't done right. She was not extended the process of what the law asks for as it relates to being deported or getting citizenship under a T visa. So kudos to her for self-deporting. Kudos to the attorney and the students and the citizens and the people here in Milwaukee that helped her come back to the United States. I personally think that's great. I know a lot of people that don't think that's great, but she followed the system and she did it right. I talked about this recently, that boating tragedy that happened.
Number 3.
I thought it was terrible. Lake Geneva boating accident. Accident. 3 children who died on the boating accident on Lake Geneva have all been identified, and they started a fundraiser GoFundMe page by Brad Oswald. Identified 2 of his children, Caleb Oswald, 6, and Abigail Oswald, 7, lost their lives in a tragic boating accident caused by an unprecedented severe storm. Now, they did everything right. We can't second guess what parents do. That has got to be the worst feeling you could ever have, is lose a child. We're not made to lose our children, right? We're not made to bury our children. Our children are made to bury us, right? They have us for years and decades, and then we get old and we pass away. And your kids are usually adults, and they're able to deal with and process that. But when you're a child and you die, that has got to be the worst feeling. I can't think of anything in life that would crush me than to have a child pass away. National Weather Service said in Walworth County, there was a sudden and severe storm, and the National Weather Service said it created a downburst with peak winds at 90 to 100 miles an hour. They were trying to get off the lake. 6 adults and 1 child were rescued from the water, and 3 of the children were missing. When emergency responders got there, those 3 children were later found and later died despite life-saving attempts. So there were 3 children who died who've been identified, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 6-year-old. The boat operator was a 47-year-old man. The other passengers, a 75-year-old man, 73-year-old woman, 49-year-old woman, 46-year-old man, a 44-year-old woman, and a 12-year-old boy. The group had included residents of Fontana, as well as residents of Batavia and Wheaton, Illinois. All 4 kids were properly fitted with life jackets. That's according to law enforcement. And that is probably that is one of the most unfortunate stories I've read in a long time. Now let's jump to police. Let's just say some folks in the Milwaukee Police Department are going to need some retraining, and lots of it.
Number 2.
So, from CBS 58, from Fox6Now.com. 4 Milwaukee police officers were hurt when 2 squads crashed into each other during a pursuit early yesterday. Happened around 3:15. 2 squads were responding to a vehicle pursuit when they crashed into each other at 27th and Locust. Yeah, it's kind of funny. 2 squads then collided with 2 unoccupied cars. As a result, 4 officers were treated for non-fatal injuries at an area hospital. MPD says they don't know what prompted the pursuit. Well, no, let me rephrase that. They didn't say what prompted the pursuit in the first place, or whether anybody was taken into custody because of the pursuit. So think about that. We went through all this trouble. 4 cops got hurt. 2 squads probably totaled. 2 cars crashed into, and we don't know why. Interesting. We have no idea why it happened. But, oh well. I talked about this last time when the other police officer was convicted. And I asked, who's watching the watchers? Who's watching over the people that are supposed to watch over us? Because a police officer, I think it was a sergeant, was able to get away with it. Well, my question today is not who's watching the watcher, but who's watching the watcher watch us.
Number 1.
This from CBS 58. A Milwaukee police detective has been charged, second person, with misconduct in public office and misusing a GPS device to obtain information after serving more than 22 years with the department. Allegations involving 51-year-old detective Tarangi Chapman were first brought to the attention of the Milwaukee Police Department this past March 13th. This is according to police, at which time Chapman was placed on full suspension. In a statement from Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman, no one is above the law. We expect all members of this department, both sworn officers and professional staff, to uphold the highest ethical standards. We will continue to take decisive action to preserve public trust and honor the values of this organization. Information was passed on to the DA's office for review, and officials say an investigation sustained claims of misconduct. According to the complaint, Chapman was one of 2 detectives assigned to investigate the claims in December against a former officer, Josue, Josue, Ayala, who was criminally charged with what? Misusing the department's flock license plate radar system. Prosecutors said they did an internal audit and revealed Chapman used the system to search a license plate for a car registered to victim 3 times in January, listing the reason as training. The audit further revealed Chapman used the system to search for a license plate for victim 4 17 times between January 10th of 2024 and January 3rd of 2025, listing the reasons as either training or a test. They interviewed Chapman in May, according to the complaint, at which time he reported admitting using the flock system to track the whereabouts of both victims. Complaint says Chapman further admitted, get this is the part that really, further admitted installing a GPS tracking device on the car belonging to victim 4 without their knowledge to track the whereabouts. Of course, the union said they're innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. Chapman's due in court July 17th, and I don't know what to say about that one. Now, here's the kicker. You ready for the kicker? You ready for the kicker? You ready? Chapman worked in internal affairs. So who's watching over internal affairs when internal affairs, who's supposed to watch over the police, who's supposed to watch over the community, gets away with something like that? Think about that. Think about that. We have internal affairs that's supposed to be watching over bad cops, and you got bad cops in internal affairs. Now, granted, this is me. I'm a citizen, private citizen on social media, right? I don't understand it because your job is to catch bad cops. And I've known a few bad internal affairs people. I've known them and they were captains. I've known them and they were inspectors. I've known them and they were bad as lieutenants, a really bad one. And I've known them and they were bad as sergeants and detectives. What are we doing? What are we doing? Now, granted, few and far between. For the most part, the Milwaukee Police Department is an upstanding, ethical organization, and the super majority of the cops go to work every day to serve and protect and die for people they don't know. But at some point, you're going to have to keep having these audits of everything, of time, calls for service, audits of whatever they do, ticket writing, all those things, spot checks to make sure people are doing it right, make it public so that the officers know and the public knows that you're doing the right thing to build trust. And Chief Norman did the right thing. Made it public, sent it to the DA's office, and let the district attorney decide whether or not to charge the person. Now, either way, that person would have lost their job. Right now, they're going to lose. They're not going to lose their pension, but they're not going to have the pension that they would have had they did enough time in order to get a full pension. And that's unfortunate. And I've met a lot of these people. I've known a lot of these people in my career. I don't hang out with them, of course, but I've known a lot of them. And most of the law enforcement officers in Milwaukee are good, decent, upstanding men and women. And the professional staff, there's no way the job could get done without them. And so it's good to hear when someone breaks that trust that they're able to find them and charge them, and make sure that they don't injure anyone else. So I think it's great. That's just me, but I think it's one of those things that we really have to keep going. All right, so let me go back and check, see if anybody popped in that I missed and some of the comments y'all made. I see you, Babar. What's going on? Can't hear me. Sincere say he can't hear me. That's on his end. Turn your phone up. Turn your computer up. Sincere say sounds like a Tina Turner song. We don't need another hero. Wow. Yeah. Todd said that was my first cousin in Chicago, mother's relatives, the kids that died. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I am so sorry to hear that. We will definitely keep the family in our prayers. Kathleen said, whoop, somebody else coined the phrase top 5 before 5. Can't take credit for it. Yeah, I think it was Jazz. Jasmine did it. It was her. Jasmine said it was me, but I don't use the word top. Uh-oh. So we got that straightened. So thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being here today. I will see you on, will I see you on tomorrow? I think I might drop in tomorrow because I skipped Wednesdays. I might drop in tomorrow. See what's going on. It might be short, but something might happen. So I'll see you tomorrow, 4 o'clock Central Time. Of course, if you want to support us, Dr. Ken Swag always forget, .printify.com, drkenswag.printify.com. I'm going to be updating and putting some new stuff in. I'm going to try some t-shirts and, maybe a hoodie, see what's going on. So I'm looking for great sayings. So if you got any sayings you want to contact me, just hit me at drkenstruth@gmail.com and I'll be right there and I'll respond. Hopefully I'll do it really fast.
Quiet.
Well, maybe I'll just be here. And that'll happen. Hey, God bless. Take care. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you let your friends know I'm here every day at 4 o'clock. God bless. Take care. Remember, Sherwin Hughes is on. Hughes Views 414 at 7. Make sure you check them out. Take care. Deuces. I'm out.